Ladies and gentlemen, in order to be successful for today's instruction, you need to have a whiteboard and a marker, obviously, as well as a notebook ready to go. Friendly reminder, tomorrow you have a test, 25 questions, multiple choice. Your pieces and your focus are due tomorrow, so please make sure you have made the necessary plans to have success tomorrow. Every other class is finished content today, so I'm anticipating us as well. How exciting. On your whiteboard, here we go. Please tell me, what is the name of the gentleman who is going to be the golden age of the Byzantines? Good. Who is it? Jack. Justinian. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of Justinian's wife? She is going to help the poor significantly and keep them in power. Who is it, Graham? Theodora. Who can raise your hand and explain to me how Theodora keeps Justinian in power? How? Katerina?
Because she kept the poor people and she improved their lives and she made them happy.
Okay, she was poor, so she made sure she was a champion of the poor when she came into power as an empress and made sure she tried to improve their lives, which she did. And there you go. So pretty cool chick. On your whiteboard, what is the name of the general who is going to reconquer 3/4 of the Roman Empire? Who is it, Maggie? Belisarius. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the governing system that says that if you're brave and loyal, you get to get land? And this was to keep people loyal to the army. Who is it, Delaney? Theme system. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the law code of the Byzantines? Good. What is it, Sophia? No, you're Flieger.
Sorry.
Flieger. Just Sophia. Justinian Code. Justinian Code is based entirely on what previous law code? Good. JP.
12 tables.
12 tables. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the founder of the Carolingian Empire? He is going to defeat the Muslims at the Battle of Tours. Nope. I have so far no correct answers. You've got part. Thank you, Arlie. Please educate your peers, and maybe your peers should write this down since no one knew. John knew the nickname, couldn't come up with the name though. Who is it? Charles Martel. You should probably write that down since you all didn't know. Charles Martel is the founder of the Carolingian. He's going to defeat the Muslims at the Battle of Tours. On your whiteboard, what is the name of Charles Martel's grandson who is going to create the Missi Dominati? He is going to bring literacy back to Western Europe. Who is it, Cadence? Charlemagne. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the title Pope Leo III gives Charlemagne after Charlemagne saves his life? On your whiteboard.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, we gotta go then. All right. And what is it, Haley? Holy Roman Emperor. You don't know that? Okay. Take out your notes. Let's go. Who can raise your hand and tell me where we left off, because you guys are behind. With a hand would be helpful so I don't have 10,000 mumblings. What do you got, Maggie?
It just says how Charlemagne pushed the literacy.
Okay. Oh, wow. You people are like 10,000 years behind. All right, here we go. We are moving real quick. Are we ready? Okay. So you need to know that Charlemagne is going to be pushing for literacy. You need to know that he's going to create the Missi Dominati. Okay, Missi Dominati, which are going to be auditors. Okay, they make sure the government is not abusing its people. Okay, so the Missi Dominati, he's going to make sure that the government is not abusing its people. He sounds like a pretty good guy. Can we agree?
Yes.
Yes, he also goes through his entire kingdom every year. Every year, every county, Every part of his kingdom is visited by him so he can show a centralized authority. How many of you have seen a president in your life? I've never seen a president. Okay? Alright, so 3 out of 30. Not good odds here, people. So, we do not get to see presidents on a regular basis. That's not how they assert authority. Imagine how much more powerful the presence of a president would be if we saw them over here, correct? That's what Charlemagne's trying to do. He's trying to make his presence larger than life, and by seeing his people out all of the time, it helps that. You need to know that Pope Leo III is going to name him Holy Roman Emperor after Charlemagne comes to his rescue. Pope Leo III is going to crown him Holy Roman Emperor after Charlemagne saves him. Okay, this is going to piss off the Byzantines. Why does it piss off the Byzantines, JP?
Because they follow the patriarch.
No. Why, Haley? Yeah, they're paying for everything. Who has money, Western Europe or Eastern Europe? Eastern Europe. So the Byzantines have all the money, so they're the ones paying for the Pope to live comfortably, his eating, his food. Everything is paid for by the Byzantines. So all of a sudden, this one Western European guy comes in, swoops in, and saves them in one fight, doesn't pay a damn bill, and all of a sudden now he gets this really cool title of Holy Roman Emperor, which you know is what the Byzantines really want because they're obsessed with the Romans. And so they're like, screw you, Pope. They're pissed. And that's exactly how they feel, and this will lead to resentment, which will lead to the Great Schism. So it has a long-term impact. Okay. All right, here we go. Next, skip a space, center it, invasions of Europe. Okay, the Carolingian Empire just collapses after Charlemagne. That's all you need to know. It collapses after Charlemagne. All right, you need to know that the Muslims are to the south in North Africa and in Spain. You need to know that the Muslims are to the south in North Africa and Spain. You need to know that Muslims are located in North Africa and in Spain. You need to know that the Vikings are to the north, and they are invading as well. The Vikings are to the north. Now we're going to spend some time talking about the Vikings. Okay, so the Vikings are from the north, and they are attacking Western Europe. You need to know the Vikings are mostly from Norway. Okay? You need to know that they are raiding Western Europe because of overpopulation. Who can tell me what is overpopulation? Jack.
When the population surpasses the amount of food or like.
Yeah. So they had a couple of really good years, and people pumped out a bunch of kids. Okay? And then when the crops went back to normal harvest rates, guess what? They had too many people and not enough food. So, do you think they wanted to watch their kids starve to death? No, so they were like, well, screw it. They got a bunch of stuff down there. Why don't we just go steal stuff from them? And that's exactly what the Vikings do. So the Vikings are going to start raiding Western Europe. How they do it is the coolest thing. You don't get the full explanation because we're behind. However, the Vikings use shallow boats. You do need to know that. Vikings use shallow boats to raid. What they do is that they are very skilled sailors, and they sail down the rivers. When they get to the end of a river or get to where they get off, they flip the boat upside down and put it on their shoulders, and they run with the boats on their shoulders. When they get to a town that they're going to raid, they flip the boat over, they raid the town, fill the boat with food or whatever valuables they have. They pick up the boat, and then they run the boat back to the river, jump on top of the food, sit on top of the food, and paddle their way back. They are so effective, they're going to change the governing style of Western Europe. They're so effective at raiding and killing and capturing and doing all these things. They terrify people because a Viking raid lasts about 45 minutes, and they can decimate an entire village of food. It's pretty damn effective. So, because of the Vikings, centralized governments fail. You need to write that down. Because of the Vikings, centralized governments fail, and a decentralized government called feudalism rises. So, because of the Vikings, a centralized government fails, and a decentralized government rises called feudalism. You need to know that. Okay? Centralized governments fail because if there's like one king in charge of everything, can he really protect everyone from small invaders all the time? Just like terrorism. How hard is it to fight terrorism in 2019? Easy or hard? It is really hard because you have a small population hidden within a larger innocent population, correct? So it's really hard to target just the terrorists and not the innocent people, correct? It's just like that with the Vikings, okay? With the Vikings coming in and sporadically attacking here and there, do you think it's easy to defeat or hard to defeat? Hard to defeat, which is why there's such a pain and why the Europeans hate them so much, which changes everything. So they went from a centralized government, like the Carolinians, into a decentralized government called feudalism. Okay, so feudalism, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to draw my little chart over here. Okay, so if you take a look over here, just draw this really small. You don't need a huge example of this. So if you, Graham and Arlie and Dylan, if you want to take a photo of it to make it easier to see, you're more than welcome to. Perfectly fine with that. Okay, so feudalism, it's decentralized. So the king owns all this territory. Okay, the king owns all this territory. He gets to sit in his little castle and people pay him money. Okay, all of this land that's divided belongs to a lord, and the lord runs it on behalf of the king. All of the territory is divided up into small pieces of land called fiefs. So a lord gets a part of the king's land, and then he divides it into fiefs. On every lord plot, they get a manor house. A manor house is the center of society, religion, and government. The manor house is like the largest structures you're going to see in Western Europe for about 800 years. The manor house is the center of society. That is where the lords and the ladies are going to be living. That is where the very little education is going to be done. Religion is going to be held in the dining hall. The churches are going to be part of the manor house. And then your government, anytime you had a problem as a farmer in that town, you would go to the Lord, and the Lord would issue whatever type of justice is happening. You need to know that fiefs are owned by the king, but are managed by the Lord. This is feudalism, ladies and gentlemen. Now, feudalism is probably the most consistent type of government there is in the world. If tonight zombies come over and take over the world, within a couple of years, feudalism will be created as our government. It is very effective. Okay? Is it an exciting lifestyle? No. However, is it incredibly effective? Yes. Okay? So, anyone here watch The Walking Dead? If you watch The Walking Dead, the last couple years of it, I don't even know if it's still on. I mean, does anyone? Is it still going?
Yeah.
Who is still watching it? Anyway, if you watch The Walking Dead, you found that they have created these little communities where they have fences and they have people who guard the fence, and then you have people inside farming. That's feudalism. That's feudalism. So when the world ends, ladies and gentlemen, and democracy fails, what is going to be the government type of the world? It's going to be feudalism. Okay, that's how consistent it is, and it's easy and reliable. You need to know that the land is worked by a serf, S-E-R-F. A land is worked by a serf, not S-U-R-F, not like hang 10, hang loose, man. Not that. Serf, S-E-R-F. A serf is a person who signs a fief contract in exchange for protection. Who are they needing protection from? Vikings. Yeah, the Vikings are the ones they're really terrified of. So they work the land for free every single generation. So Pearson is terrified of the Vikings. She goes and finds a nice, strong lord who can protect her, and she's like, hey, I need protection from the Vikings. And he's like, cool, I need someone to farm my land. And she's like, I'll farm for you if you protect me. And she's like, cool, let me sign here. So she signs. Now all of a sudden she's a serf. So she lives in the same house. She farms the land every single day. When her kids are born, her kids have to work that land. Her grandkids have to work that land. Her great-great-grandkids, her great-great-grandkids, her 15th generation grandkids are going to work that land. That is what a serf does. They are not slaves. Serfs are not slaves. Serfs are not slaves. They are contracted to work a specific piece of land. Lord does not control their personal lives. What do you got, Maggie?
Are they ever allowed to break out?
No. Because if they were allowed to not farm, they wouldn't farm. And if they didn't farm, how is the Lord going to get food? How are the knights going to protect them and get food, right? So eventually feudalism will fail in Western Europe, but that's because of bubonic plague, because like pretty much everyone dies. But we'll get there. Okay? So you need to know a serf is not a slave. Okay? A lord cannot tell you to like reproduce and have more kids. If you were my slave, I could force you and the opposite sex to have sex and make slave babies for me. I can force you to do that because you're my property. Okay? A lot of slavers used to do it because it's cheaper to have a slave baby than it is to purchase a slave. As a serf, I have no control of your personal life. If you don't want to have kids because you don't want them to be farmers, then okay, cool, you don't have any kids. Okay, so serfs are not slaves. Okay, feudalism. We need to do the feudal social structure, which is right over here. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just giving you a heads up. You are writing down this column and this column next to each other. So in your notes, I would give you enough time and enough space to do that. So you should write this and this next to each other, please. If you need to take a photo of it to make it easier for yourself, please do. What? Not yet. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so feudalistic social structure. At the top of the feudalistic social structure, you have the king. The king is a figurehead who makes money because he owns all the land. Who can raise your hand and tell me what a figurehead is? Come on, the Queen of England is a figurehead, people. Come on. What is a figurehead, Haley? Yeah, they literally have no power. The Queen of England can't push a law through, can't create a tax. She can't do anything. She's just there because she gets to call herself queen. Okay? During feudalism, kings have really no power, except they have the ability to call themselves king, and they get to collect taxes. That's it. Okay? Underneath kings, you have lords and nobles. They are your government and economic center. They are the ones with the power. They are the ones with the power. Arlie.
What does it say owns what?
Owns all the land. Owns the land is what it says. Okay, so lords and nobles, they're in charge of the government and economic components. They are local leaders. They run the government and economy of their land. They also lead the military forces. So ladies and gentlemen, they are the most important people in feudalism. Why is it so important they have local leaders instead of having a centralized leader? Jack.
So they can control the areas better
Be from?
protect them from the Vikings.
Yes, okay. If you have a small military force near your people, can you move it faster? Yes, absolutely. It's easier to protect the people, which is why your local lords and nobles are so powerful. Then you have knights. They are your military force. They receive land in exchange for fighting for the Lord. Okay? So, they are simply paid to fight. Then you have peasants. They are free people who can leave anytime they want to. They did not sign a fief contract, which means they can come and go as they please. If they're like, ah, man, this little town sucks, I want to go somewhere else, they can leave. Can anyone else? No. Do you think there's a lot of peasants or very few peasants? There's very few. There's really not that many.
Who does like all like the blacksmith and all that?
Some of them are serfs. Very few, but some of them are serfs. Okay, and then you have serfs at the bottom. Serfs, they are contracted workers who are required to stay on that piece of land. Okay, so serfs are required to work a certain piece of land. Okay, so peasants are free people and they can wander around, and then we have serfs who aren't allowed to leave. So ladies and gentlemen, if your parents signed a fief contract, you're going to be born on the same piece of land and you're going to die on that piece of land. Is this an exciting existence? No, people typically never see anything further than like a mile away from their house. Like people are, and feudalism is really going to slow people moving down. Do you think this is a time of great art and math and science? No, absolutely not. However, isn't it an effective government structure? Yes. Does everyone have a job?
Yes.
Does everyone have a responsibility? Yes, absolutely. So, you need to know that feudalism is based on rights and obligations. Feudalism is based on rights and obligations. The king has the right to own everything, however, has the obligation to provide for all their people. So, everything in feudalism is based on rights and obligations. I get this, but I have to do this. Cadence.
So do knights sign like a symbol
Yeah, they have a contract as well. So, lords and nobles, they have the right to a large landmass from the king with a manor house. So they get to live in the most comfortable style of anyone. However, they have the responsibility of paying taxes to the king and protecting all the people who live on his land. So they have to organize all the economic component of it, and they have to protect. Then you have the knights. The knights have the right to get a piece of land, have a home, and have food. However, they have the obligation of protecting the people. They have to put their life on the line and save their people from harm. Now, peasants, oh my God, they don't have any rights and obligations. You can tell me why peasants don't have any rights or obligations. Halen, they're free. So they can do whatever the hell they want. But when the Vikings come, are the knights and all those people going to do anything about them? No. If all the people are going to be hiding in the manor house, guess where the peasants are? Outside the manor house. Yeah, they're not allowed in. Okay, because they don't really care about if the peasants die. Why? Because they haven't signed a fief contract. There's no rights. There's no obligations. There's none of that. So they don't really care about the peasants. So, being a peasant, there's a lot of pros. Can we agree? You can kind of wander around. You can kind of do what you want. However, when the shit goes down, do you want to be a peasant? No. What do you got, Jack?
Do the knights' children have to become knights?
They typically don't get really married. If you're a knight, you typically don't live a long life. They may get married, but like most of them don't, because they usually die. Think about it. How many diseases are there during this time? Do you think they can cure infections? People, if you get cut with a knife, guess what? You're probably dying. Okay? They're not. By the time they stop going to war all the time, they're like in their mid-40s. Like, they're not going to live long. Serfs, they have the right to protection, and they have the obligation of farming the land. Okay? What do you got, Katarina?
How could they tell who was a peasant versus a serf?
Oh, because they contracts in the manor house. They literally have signed paperwork.
Like in a raid.
Well, because like they know. I mean, they're not gonna like a small child. They're not gonna chuck out the window, but like they're not gonna go out of their way to protect those people either. And keep in mind, these villages, these little manor houses, really only serve about like 150 people. So, like, do you know your neighbors intimately? Yeah. I mean, essentially, like, by the way, there's way more kids in this room than there would ever be in a place like that. So you're all, like, getting married and intermarried to each other and all that stuff. Like, it's, like, a whole complicated thing. What do you got?
Real quick, so a fief, just simplifying.
Fief is a land.
A piece of land.
Yep. A fief contract is when you sign a contract to work a specific piece of land.
And you become a serf.
Yeah, you become a serf. There you go. All right. So, this is, hopefully you see how effective of a system this is. Can we agree? Like, it is very logical. Everyone has a job. There's a specific purpose. It is a very effective system. Okay? So, this is what Western Europe is going to look like. Fun fact, just letting you know what's coming, Japan also falls into a feudalistic system, and it's very similar to this one, except we have different names for things. So, but they're also going to turn feudalistic as well, because they're going to have some chaos going on as well. Perfect. What I need you to write now is you are going to write changes in Christianity. Changes in Christianity. Yep, skip space, center it, changes in Christianity. Here we go. Your next thing you're going to write down underneath changes in Christianity, you're going to write down Western Europe's population booms because of political stability. Western European population booms because of political stability. What is politically stable? What is predictable? What new government style, people? Hello? Feudalism. Feudalism is predictable. Feudalism is stable. Okay? It is all about predictability. So, with more of a larger population, we have more Christians. Okay? Which is a big component of it. You need to know that Christianity is changing for a couple of reasons. You're going to put a couple of bullets underneath. Christianity is changing. You need to know that there is something called icons, which is spelled right here. It's spelled just like you would think. Icons. Icons are the worshiping of pictures of saints, Jesus, Mary, etc. Okay? Icon worshiping is a problem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you know right now. In my mother's kitchen, she has a picture of a pale Jesus on her wall. And I tell you that because every time I go to my mother's house, I point out that Jesus didn't look like that. You've seen pale Jesus. You know, he looks like he's from Norway, like blonde hair, blue eye Jesus. Like, I point out to my mother, I was like, well, Jesus is born in the Middle East, so what color do you think Jesus was? He's brown, people. He's brown. So if you have a white Jesus on your wall, you're lying. You're lying. And I point that out to my mother every time, and you can see why she doesn't like me. Moving forward. So, my mother is a very good Roman Catholic woman. Okay? So, every time she has a Jesus picture on her wall, and every time she walks in the kitchen, she says it reminds her to be thankful to Jesus for all of the blessings in her life. So every time she sees it, it just reminds her to say a prayer of protection and thank you for her family. You can see how much of a disappointment I am to my mother. Okay, my sarcasm with religion and how devout she is. Okay, there are some people in this world who have like a little altar. Have you ever seen an altar to like Jesus or Mary or Joseph in someone's house? Those people are Orthodox Christians. People who, thank you very much, people who have those altars believe that they kneel in front and they pray directly to that painting, that statue, whatever, and they're like, Jesus, help me. Take the wheel, friend. AP World is killing me. This class is just awful. This woman goes so damn fast. You should see how fast our notes go. Okay? Help me. They believe that there's a little piece of Jesus in that picture, in that statue, and that little piece of Jesus is calling the real Jesus and be like, hey, Sam Bennett needs your help, okay? Give Sam Bennett a little extra time on the prayers, okay? That is called icons. When you pray to a piece of an image of Jesus, a statue of Jesus, any type of thing, that you believe it gets you closer to the actual Jesus, it's called icons. If you're a Roman Catholic, you believe that's called a false idol. So icons are seen negatively by the West, positively by the East, and you need to know that. The West consider them false idols, and false idols lead to false gods. So icons are a big problem. The West hates them, the East love them. So that's a point of contention. You also need to know that distance is causing a major problem as well. That's another bullet point going under changes. You need to know that distance. Do you think it's easy to keep everyone on the same page when there's nothing, no internet, no telephone, no telegram, nothing? No. So the East is developing one way, the West is developing another way, and they're starting to become very different. Just like when your best friend moves away, you used to be super close and now you don't really know each other anymore because you're totally different. Same thing that's happening with Christianity. It's just growing up two different ways. You also need to know that Christianity is going to have two popes going. You have the emperor of the Byzantines, who is considered the pope, and then the West has their own pope. Do you think it's healthy to have two popes in the same religion? No. So we have two different popes, we have icons, and we have distance. What do you got, JP?
I was going to ask if
That's another point. Yes, sir. You need to know that there are 2 points. We have the emperor of the Byzantines, who's considered a pope, and then you have an actual pope in the West. Arlie.
What was the patriarch?
Patriarch is the Eastern, it's the Byzantines pope. That's another nickname for it. Okay, so you need to know. Okay, icons is a big point of contention. So what's going to happen is a thing called the iconoclasm, and you need to write this down because if it's on my board, you need to have it. The iconoclasm is when a bunch of Romans, not Roman Catholics, just a bunch of Romans, a bunch of Italians, they're over here, Kaylin. Iconoclasm is when a bunch of Italians get on a boat and they sail for Constantinople, okay? When they get to Constantinople, they get off their boat with a baseball bat. Now, there's no such thing as baseball until the 1700s, so is it really a baseball bat? No, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, with a baseball bat, these Italians get off in Constantinople, and every time they see a picture of Jesus, Mary, Joseph, or any religious thing, they smash the shit out of it.
So why do you have Romans?
Because they're from Rome, which is why. Yeah, they're from Rome, but they're not Roman Catholics yet, because we're in the iconoclasm. The iconoclasm causes the schism, which is the breakup of the two. Write down what I have. I'll get you there. Okay, have faith in me. Okay, so you have a bunch of Italians from Rome, which is why I called them Romans, get off the boat in Constantinople, and they walk through all of Constantinople and start smashing every image of Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and all the religious saints. Okay? So if you're a Byzantine, okay, you're in Byzantium, how do you feel about all of your religious icons being smashed to hell? Not good, people. You should be very horrified that they would destroy these religious items like this. Okay? They destroyed them because they thought they were worshiping false gods. Does that make sense? And the Byzantines are like, no, that's a piece of Jesus you just smashed. How dare you smash Jesus? Okay? So, I think we can agree this is not a good relationship builder, and it's going to cause the Great Schism. Okay? The Great Schism, the Byzantines are like, you people are barbarians for doing this. We're done with you. So the iconoclasm has challenged the last strain of cohesion, and because after the iconoclasm, they're like, screw it, let's break up, we're over. So, the Great Schism occurs. The Great Schism is a split between Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholicism. The split occurs because of icons, distance, and rivalry between the two. Don't forget, the Byzantines are so cranky that Western Europe, that Charlemagne got the title of Holy Roman Emperor, correct? They're so cranky, so there's a lot of bad blood. And after the iconoclasm, they're like, you know what, screw this, let's be independent. So, we have the Great Schism, and it splits. Before the Schism, everyone is Christian. After the Schism, we now have Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholics. Okay, so Eastern Orthodox, they are pro-icons. If you go to a Greek church today, there's one over by Panera in Hyde Park. Okay, if you go in that church today, there's tons of images and there's tons of flowers around wreaths and stuff around the base of the statues. They pray directly to the statues because they believe that there's a piece of Mother Mary or Jesus or whoever the statue is that will transport your message to the saints or whoever it is. Roman Catholics believe in no icons. Okay? My mother has a picture of Jesus in her kitchen, not because she believes Jesus is just hanging out watching her cook. It's because it's a reminder of all the wonderful things Jesus does, and to remind her to be thankful. Okay? You need to know that Eastern Orthodox are going to continue using Greek, while the Roman Catholics are going to use Latin still. Okay. Arlie, how are we waiting? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, Leo the second.
Leo the Third
Was the Pope
during the Great Schism, yes.
during
Yeah.
Western
There you
Western
go.
Europe.
Yes.
I remember that was a term Pope because he
Yes.
instituted iconoclasm.
Yes, he's like, you know, we're
I
done.
get it.
What?
The book mentioned Leo the Third being influenced by Muslims and stuff like that.
A little bit. Don't get crazy with it. He doesn't hate them as much as he hates the Eastern Orthodox, which is kind of interesting. Okay, hold on, because you need this for your test tomorrow. It's question number 21. You're going to want it. Okay, the final straw. Obviously, the iconoclasm is horrific. I think we can all agree. Imagine all the art that was lost. Can we talk about that for a second? When Ren teaches it to you here in a couple weeks, he almost cries over it. It's kind of sad. But funny all the same time. So the it's funny. It's funny. Okay, so the iconoclasm is obviously pretty horrific. The schism is obviously very sad that it occurs. The final nail in the coffin is something called the Fourth Crusade. Now, the Fourth Crusade is obviously happening during the Crusades, where we have Christians versus Muslims. The Eastern Orthodox and the Roman Catholics join together to try to defeat the Muslims in the Holy Land. So it's not a one against the other in Christianity. It's all Christians against the Muslims. Okay? So, during the Fourth Crusade, so there's been 3 crusades where the Christians work together to try to defeat. Okay? We'll get to that in a couple weeks when we get to the actual crates. But the Fourth Crusade's a real kicker. A boat, which is how most of your crusaders got to the Holy Land, a boat left Italy and went to Constantinople. Well, Constantinople is a Christian city at the time, so Christian crusaders coming in, do you think they cared? No, because we're all on the same team. We're trying to beat the Muslims, man. Hell yeah. So, a bunch of Roman Catholics got into Constantinople, and they were like, you know what? I hate these people. So what they do is they sack the city of Constantinople. That's Christian versus Christian crime. Okay? So, they sack Constantinople. What does it mean to sack a city?
Raid.
They raid. What does a raid mean? They steal all the valuables and they burn the rest of the place down. So who do you think is super excited about the Fourth Crusade? Who is over there cheering the whole time? The Muslims, yes! They're sitting there on the hills of Constantinople saying, well done, Catholics. Well done. Because after the city gets raided in the Fourth Crusade, Constantinople is essentially a weak city, and the Muslims come in and take it over during the Fifth Crusade. And why did Constantinople fall? Because of the Roman Catholics. It's the final nail in the coffin. So much so that the Pope of Eastern Orthodox and the Pope of the Roman Catholics did not sit in the same room together for like 600 years since the Fourth Crusade. 3 years ago, the Roman Catholic Pope and the Eastern Orthodox Pope got together and sat down in the same room 3 years ago, and it was the coolest thing you've ever seen. Like, they got together because we've all heard about the terrorist attacks in the Middle East. Yes, how they're blowing people up, they're killing innocent people. Well, they've also been targeting Christians in the Middle East. So they're killing Christians purposely. And so both of the popes got together to bring attention to this topic and squished a 600-year hatred. Isn't that cool? You can look at photos. There's like tons of photos. It's pretty cool. People don't even care. That was so cool. Can you imagine how geeky I was that day? Like, we watched like CNN footage and all that stuff where they were like doing their little thing. It was so cute. What do you got? Sam?
So like the Pope Francis,
He's Roman Catholic. Okay, so some titles that you need to know. For Eastern Orthodox, we call him a patriarch. The Pope is called a patriarch. Okay, or a papi. Sometimes you heard it referred to him as papi. P-A-P-I. I know. Doesn't that sound like Hispanic? Like, oh, papi. Okay. Then on the Roman Catholic, tell me you don't hear it. Tell me you don't hear it. You can make fun of me all you want, but you hear it. Then on the Roman Catholic, you call him a pope. The leader of the church is the pope. Catholics are going to have lots of problems with popes. We've had some real shit ones. And we had 2 popes going for about 70 years. 1 pope in Rome, 1 pope in Avignon. So it's kind of a mess we'll be dealing with for a while. You need to know that there is the first Roman Catholic pope, the first real Roman Catholic pope. His name is Pope Gregory the First. Okay, you can continue right under this because he's a big deal. You need to know that the first major Roman Catholic pope is Pope Gregory the First, and he is going to centralize the rule of the pope. Okay? He is going to centralize the rule of the pope, which means he is going to make the pope even more powerful. He makes the pope involved in every aspect of the church. So today when we think, oh man, that's the pope, okay, it's because of Gregory the First. Gregory is going to centralize the power, and he is going to make the pope the center of it all. He also makes the pope kind of divine, which is kind of cool. If you're a true believer in Roman Catholicism, which I think you can tell by my sarcasm, I'm not. But if you are a true believer in Roman Catholicism, you believe that our Pope today speaks to God, and God speaks to him. And that the Pope is the voice of God on earth. Could you imagine being like the voice of God on earth? Like waking up every day? That would be crazy. Anyway, moving forward. Okay, you need to know that St. Basil and St. Benedict are going to start monasteries. Who can raise their hand and tell me what a monastery is? Pearson. It's for the monks. And what do monks do all day, Pearson? They pray. Monks are praying. Monasteries. You need to know that St. Basil and St. Benedict are going to start monasteries. Monks are what we call Christian. There's Buddhist monks and there's Christian monks. Christian monks, Catholic monks, are going to have 3 vows. They do a vow of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Poverty means they have no worldly possessions. Chastity means they're not going to have sex with anyone. They've given their body to God. Obedience means they're going to follow the cloth. Okay? So, monasteries are being built. Monasteries are important during the Middle Ages because they provide centers for inns, orphanages, and hospitals. They provide a community service. Monasteries benefit the communities they serve. Okay, these monks are going to be treating the wounded and the sick. They're going to be giving homes to homeless children, and they're going to be providing safe place to rest. What do you got?
What was the last
Obedience.
And then there's poverty, obedience, I'm sorry.
And obedience and chastity. Means they won't have sex. Okay, so got us through content. Eastern copy or a pager? Oh my god. People, I was a little worried about you, and I'm recording this, so we had to get there. So good for you. Okay. Alright, here we go. On your whiteboard, let's do it. We might as well practice. Ladies and gentlemen, I had my test out earlier in the day. I knew exactly what is on the test, and I have covered what is on that test. Is everyone good? If you notice, there's not much on Kievan. There is also not a ton in your book. Can we agree? Russians are doing Russian things. The foundation of Russian culture has begun, and they're doing Russian things. Russia.
Thank you.
We'll come back to Russia. We spent a lot of time talking about Russia, but no, there's none. Feudalism is all over the place. The Great Schism is all over the place. Carolinian, Byzantines, that's all over the place. I've covered everything that's on the test tomorrow. So you are good to go for that. But there's not a ton on Kievians, so don't freak out because there's not much on the Kievians, which is so stupid that they title this section Kievian because there's nothing about the Kievians. It's fine, Jack.
Why'd you give us some pieces of it?
Because you had to pull out some stuff from it. It's not a ton of it. You can handle it.
So what are the Kievians in the test?
Huh?
What about the Kievians?
There's one question on the Kievians. You can handle it. I believe in you. Okay, so on your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the first Roman Catholic Pope who is going to centralize the authority of, see ya, and it is Pope Gregory I. See ya. So proud of you. You people were so far behind.